Am I the asshole for stealing money to get a BBL? And the BBL almost killed me. Disclaimer, this is not my story time, it's not made on Instagram. I'm 27 years old, and my life changed in 2017. I went kind of viral on Instagram after I posted some bikini pictures, and then I got a bunch of male followers. And to be honest, I have zero talents. I don't know how to cook, not a good actress. I'm really not good at anything other than like posting pictures. So I decided to make Instagram my job. My dream was to be like these other IG baddies. They all had BBLs, expensive cars, and they made so much money. So I decided to get a BBL. The problem is I was totally broke. So I came up with a plan and I didn't tell anybody. I would get my followers to send me about $200 and then I would send them pictures in return. But I would promise private stuff and I never sent it. I would send them like a bikini picture here and there, but these guys couldn't get their money back. So I just started blocking everyone who sent me money. After 3 months, I had 50K. I ran over to a plastic surgeon. I got my BBL, but it was gruesome. For 3 months, the recovery was horrible. I had to wear fajas and get massages. I went on a clean diet. Finally, after 3 months, I had my dream body. And when I started posting my new body, I gained 100,000 new followers. But then after 7 months, I started feeling sick all the time. I was really tired and had all these weird symptoms. And my butt would smell bad too. It was very hard to clean my new butt. That's when my doctor told me I had an infection from the BBL. I had to go on these crazy antibiotics and I gained a bunch of weight. I looked horrible. My butt was astronomical. I was sick for 7 months. Now my body does look good again, but I regret this decision so much. I always have complications and my butt smells bad. Would you do it?
Storytime about how my cat got me grounded. And yes, I mean my literal pet cat got me grounded. So a little background information. I was 16 and I was a freshman in high school, and my parents were extremely strict. Now, of course, there was the usual no hanging out with boys, no hanging out with anybody on the weekdays. Well, my parents took it a step further. Actually, no, they took it like 10 miles further. I got my phone taken every night at 6 o'clock. Even on the weekends, and my friends were only allowed to come over for 8 hours exactly on the weekends. And they had to have a ride to and from my house. Well, usually my friend group and I were never invited to any kind of parties, but this one girl who had just moved to our school, she was throwing a huge party and she invited everybody, not just the popular kids. So obviously my friends begged me to go. They were like, please, like we can sneak over there. Your parents go to bed early anyways. Like for part 2. Part 2 about how my cat got me grounded, and yes, I am talking about my pet cat. So like I said, my best friends are begging me to come out of the house. They're like, listen, like do whatever you have to come to this party. This is the first and probably only party that we will ever be invited to in our entire lives. So at this point, I start planning to sneak out of my house. So my parents usually go to sleep at around 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and they usually wake up at 5:30 in the morning. But since this party was on a Friday, obviously my parents aren't going to wake up at that time. They'll usually wake up around like maybe 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. So this gave me a perfect amount of time to do what I needed to do, come back and not get caught. But just in case, I made sure to turn off any alarms on their phone. But I also had to make sure that I had a foolproof plan to get out of the house and get back in. Now, of course, I couldn't go through any of the doors in the house because of the stupid Ring doorbell. But there was one thing that did work in my favor. So my dad had been slowly but surely installing the window security alarms, but he hadn't made it to my room yet, so I was good to sneak out of my window. And thankfully, my window was on the first floor. Like for part 3. Part 3 about how my cat got me grounded, and yes, I am talking about my pet cat. So like I said, I had a foolproof plan to escape, okay? I was going to get out the window and I was going to just crawl back in and act like nothing ever happened. But there was an issue with this, okay? My dad was supposed to fix my window because I somehow broke it. I don't even know how. But anytime that I go to put my window up, it just literally falls. And not only does it fall, it locks when it falls. And obviously you can guess what will happen if it does fall. I won't be able to get back in the house and I will somehow have to get in the house without my parents knowing, which is literally impossible. So I will be grounded for the rest of my life. So I was going to put a book between the window and the windowsill, but I didn't want it falling and making a lot of noise. So I decided to put a pillow there. So I snuck out of my house at 11 o'clock and I had the best time of my life. Probably because that's the first and only time that I will ever be invited to any party. But fast forward, I go and I run to the side of the house to get into my window. And of course the pillow is missing. And I'm looking around to see where the pillow went in my room. And of course my cat is laying on it on the floor. So I tried messing with the window and then all of a sudden my parents walked in my room and saw me.
My stalker hid in my apartment for months, and it turns out it was my landlord. 3 years ago, I was trying to get out of a toxic relationship. My boyfriend was extremely controlling and possessive. He would show up to my job just to make sure that I was actually there, and after 6 months of living together, I'd had enough. I planned everything perfectly. I told my parents to meet me at our apartment at 2 in the morning. I only took my passport and my wallet and left while my ex was sleeping. After that, I had to get a restraining order from him because he kept stalking me. Needless to say, I never thought this would happen to me ever again. Moved in with my parents, and trust me, I would have lived with them forever had it not been for the fact that that I landed my dream job in a different city. My parents helped me move into this really beautiful duplex. The day we moved in, we met my landlords. They were a cute couple in their 40s. They looked so kind and sweet. Once I moved in, everything was wonderful. I decorated the apartment exactly how I liked it. My dream job was amazing, and I even started dating again. But I started hearing noises. Sometimes I would hear furniture being moved upstairs. When I would run upstairs, nothing was there. And then I started hearing a man moaning. Things would be moved around when I would come home. One time I found my fridge open, and my underwear would always go missing. I decided to install cameras, and 2 days after that, I heard more moaning. I called the police immediately, and when they showed up, they searched the house. Upstairs, in a guest bedroom full of boxes, they find my landlord. He had set up a mattress, food, and his laptop, even had a bag of clothes. And of course, on his laptop, they found videos of everything. Me with boys in my bedroom doing you know what, me in the shower. This man had cameras everywhere, and his mattress was full of you know what. Thank God he was prosecuted, and his wife blamed me. I got a bigger house and moved my parents in with me. I will never date men again. What would you have done?
Storytime about why my sister is probably worse than yours. So a little background information, my sister and I were both 16 and in our sophomore year of high school. And yes, my sister and I were twins, but we were the complete opposite. She was a girly girl and I was a tomboy. But the summer before our sophomore year, we both got grounded because we were driving my dad's car without our license and we wrecked it. So we ended up spending all summer together, which was very unusual because it was like her and I were acquaintances living in the same house. Well, over that summer, we got super close and she ended up turning me into a girly girl. She taught me how to take care of my skin, do my hair, do my makeup, and how to dress. Now, mind you, once we got into high school, she never spoke to me because I wasn't a part of the little clique that she was in. So she was like, yay, you can finally hang out with my friends and I'm super excited. So school starts, I end up becoming friends with all of her friends, and my sister's really good friends with this one boy. But she had always said that she never liked him like that. So she introduced us, him and I started talking, and we both ended up liking each other. Like for part 2. Part 2 about why my sister is probably worse than yours. So like I said, my sister and I start school, I become friends with her friends, and she introduces me to this guy that she's been best friends with for a while. Him and I end up talking, I really like him, he really likes me, and my sister would always hype me up. She would be like, oh my god, you should get with him, such a nice guy, you guys would look so great together. So the one night he asked me if I wanted to go on a date with him, and of course I said yes, so I ran to my sister's room, I was so excited to tell her. So I knock on her door, I go in, and I'm like, oh my gosh, guess what? She's like, what? I'm like, he asked me out on a date, and she just sits there and stares at me. And when I ask her what's wrong, she's like, oh my god, you knew that I liked him, you're such a bad sister, I would have never done this to you. So then I started to feel bad, but then I didn't because I remembered how she used to hype me up. So the next day, a few hours before my date, she comes in my room. She's like, hey, I'm really sorry about how I acted yesterday. I would love to help you get ready for your date if you'll let me. I feel so bad. And we're sisters, so of course I get over it, and I tell her yes, I want her to help me, like for part 3.
Get ready with me for a red carpet. I did a lot of prepping. I curled my extensions. So I went to the gym, I showered, now I'm gonna do skincare. It's for the premiere of Flaming Hot and it's gonna be an orange carpet. So I want my face to look really hydrated and dewy. This is the Plump Plump Serum from Glow Recipe 2. Glow Recipe Vitamin C Serum. Plump Plump Hyaluronic Cream, also from Glow Recipe. SPF. Everyone is going crazy over this. Glowy. Sorry. I just signed up for VIX. It's that streaming platform just for telenovelas. It's free. Like, you can watch whatever telenovela you want for free. They do have a premium one, but I'm not gonna pay for that. You just have to watch ads. Who cares? I'm watching Clase 406, Marimar, Lo que la vida me robó, Teresa, Rubí, A Mil por Hora. Oh my god, I cannot wait to watch A Mil por Hora. The invite for the event said business casual. I almost died when I read that because I have been planning my outfit now for like 2 weeks. I got it custom made for $25 in Nicaragua. That's how cheap it is over there. But I designed it myself. I went to get the fabric. I got the lace. I'm trying to give myself like maybe 3 hours to do my hair, my makeup. So right now I think I'm just gonna eat. I'm actually gonna sit down and watch a movie. I don't ever do that during the week. I don't ever allow myself to just relax that way, but I'm going to because when I'm going to events and I'm rushing to try to get ready, I usually tend to get a little bit stressed out, and I'm trying to avoid that so much right now. Anything that stresses me out or makes me anxious, I'm just trying to completely avoid. Got this in the mail. Wella Ultimate Repair Miracle Hair Rescue Treatment Capillaire. I have no idea what this is. It's been a couple of hours. I'm now starting to work on my hair. I have 3 About 3 hours and 20 minutes to get ready, which will include makeup, hair, and getting dressed and filming a couple of videos of me getting dressed. I need volume for this event. I want volume. By the way, I have the Last Magic Mike playing in the background, and oh my god, this movie is so freaking hot. The first scene with Salma Hayek and Channing Tatum. Ah! This just might be the longest get ready with me ever. I'm pushing the root up and then out. You see? Whoa! Okay, so I'm gonna take this piece at the crown and I'm gonna actually put more into it as well. What if I show up and there's like no red carpet? Wow, that does look voluminous. I'm using the beach waver. I'm gonna put some Clase 406. So this is when I'm gonna fill in my hairline with some powder. This is the Me Cosmetics. I live and die by this. It's actually a foundation for the scalp. Yeah, these curls are so freaking tight. I'm gonna do La Roche-Posay Double Wear Face Moisturizer. I got NYX, the brow gel, wet Q-tip, and I'm gonna clean the edges of the brows so that I make sure there's no glue on there because I do not want it to make the eyeshadow look patchy. Take a tiny bit of the moisturizer. I'm just gonna pat it over my lids and right underneath the brows just because I've cleaned that space and I don't want just dry skin to work on, to ensure that everything flows and blends in really nicely. I'm taking a tiny bit of this Essence Cosmetics foundation. I really, really like this. 2 tiny pumps, like that's not a lot of foundation. 1 pump of the Kosas IV because it makes the skin look so glittery. I like that. I know a lot of people don't like that. I loved it. So this is the Onisa Beauty foundation brush. It's one of my favorite brushes. I haven't used it in so long. I will say though, IV from Kosas is very, very, very dry. You have to work really fast to blend it in. Otherwise, it'll be like a patch of glitter in one spot. More hydration. Rare Beauty contour stick. I forgot my blurring stick. Put it on now though, maybe? Yeah, it's working. I want my face to look fresh, dewy, not full coverage. So I'm doing a tiny, tiny bit of concealer. Blending brush, and I'm gonna blend that in. I don't have my Anisa concealer brush. This is the step where I grab my mirror and then I bring it close to my face and I'm going to check that everything is blended in. There are no chunky bits. Oh, you see? I forgot the neck. Just because that's probably super dry now. A tiny bit of foundation and blend. For powder, I'm using the Rose from Laura Mercier. I'm going to, I guess it's gonna be kind of a light bake. We're wiping this off. I'm gonna put these brushes back because I like keeping my station clean as I work. A little bit of bronzer. This is from ColourPop. It's Pacific Beach. And I'm picking up just a really small amount on the brush. It's not that much. Light layers of everything. Now that we're starting on the eyes, I'm going to prime my lids with some concealer. Smoking Hot palette from ColourPop. A little bit of this one and then a little bit of this one. Then start blending it into the eye socket. Okay, this is the bad part about this Jelly Much is flaking off. I'm gonna try to focus more on the outside edge. I'm gonna dip into this hot chocolate shade. And then I'm just gonna go right into the lash line and smudge it in. That's what we're working with so far. I need a little bit more orange. I'm gonna use this blue shade from ColourPop because I wanna have some sort of color from Nicaragua. Okay, so I actually just remembered I wanted to do white in the waterline. Completely forgot about this. This is Half Magic. This is their Berries Are Real shade, and it's kind of just like a liquid glitter. I think maybe just in the center right here. Next, I have Lilac Lashes. These are, I think these are those like extension lashes. Oh, it goes underneath. I'm gonna like this. Glue. Oh wow, that was easy. And then you press. I'll just do bottom mascara. This is the color Papaya from ColourPop. I'm gonna take Kosas Cloud Set in the shade Pillowy. Run the brush through the powder, and then I'm just gonna set and kind of blend in everything. Do you see the difference or no? I see the difference. Lip liner from Iconic London in the shade TTYN. It's Vegas, I know it isn't. It's my favorite lipstick shade ever. It's from Kosas. Complimentary nude shade for olive skin tone. And then right over that, I'm gonna do High Cut, which looks a tiny bit more peachy. So pretty! I just realized the lilac lashes bring a crystal coat. So I guess this goes on top. It says, brush through lashes right after applying lilac lashes to remove stickiness and extend lash wear. I think I'm just gonna do both on the same section. Ouch, that's kind of pulling out. And now the other one. And look how much hair this is, you guys. Can't believe how affordable these were off of Amazon. This is a flor sacuanjoche. It's the traditional flower from Nicaragua. It's the national flower, so it matches with my eye makeup. Oh, I forgot I was gonna put more blue. So this goes here. Oh my God, so pretty. I have 3 necklaces. I'm gonna layer some. This is the Nicaraguan flag. One of the options is this one. I don't think it goes. And then the other option is this one. So I think, oh my God, this one is so beautiful. This is by a Nicaraguan designer. He makes all this beautiful, beautiful jewelry. So I think I'm gonna do, oh my God, that looks so good. I'm gonna do this one, map right there. And then I have my fan, my little purse. I got both of these at the Mercado. Kayali Yum Pistachio. Kayali Sweet Diamond, and Glossier You. I'm gonna blow dry my bang just out. And the final touch is gonna be, okay, we've got lipstick, lip liner, gloss, that's what I need. I'm gonna use this one from Anastasia. It's the Coral. Into this palette from ColourPop. It's called Rumor Has It, and I'm gonna dip into this blue right here. There we go. Okay, let me show you guys the bag. Look at the bag. It looks so good. Literally looks so much better than I thought it would. I actually forgot this scarf, which is also by a Nicaraguan designer. I don't know where to put it now, so maybe around here. Okay, I think it's
Story time. My boyfriend cheated on me with the girl best friend. So a little background information. I was 17 and a junior in high school, and my boyfriend and I had been dating for a year. But just a little backstory about when we got together. So there were definitely some red flags that I missed, okay? One of them being that he had a girl best friend. And I don't care what y'all have to say if that makes me insecure or what, but coming from someone who has been the girl best friend, I knew this was not good at all. Especially whenever we first started dating and she was still being super friendly with him, meaning she would hold his hand, she would hang on him 24/7. And when I told him I was super uncomfortable with that and I felt like there needed to be some boundaries, he was like, yeah, I told you what it was whenever we got together. So if you don't like that, then just break up with me. Looking back on it now, that was also a red flag because I feel like he was telling me to break up with him so that way he didn't have to break up with me, like for part 2. Part 2 about how my boyfriend cheated on me with the girl best friend. So like I said, she would still hang all over him and he pretty much told me, if you don't like that, then you can leave. Obviously, I did not want to leave because I liked him and he was my boyfriend. So I just kept putting up with it, and eventually, we got 6 months into our relationship. So at that point, I'm thinking maybe I have a little bit more authority, to be like, hey, I don't like the way that she acts around you. You guys can't hang out like that anymore. And they would hang out alone together. He would take her to dinner. I literally tried telling him that the stuff that they do together is relationship stuff. And he was like, that's not true at all because we did all this stuff before you and I even got together. So anyways, like I said, 6 months in, I'm like, hey, I don't like the way that you guys are hanging around each other. Once again, he gives me the same excuse. So he pretty much said that he didn't care. And the one night him and I were supposed to hang out, but he canceled on me last minute. And her and I didn't get along, and she never Snapchatted me before, but then I get a Snapchat of her and him making out at his house.
My father-in-law is forcing my husband to break up with me. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. This is a 3-part story time, and I'm doing a full face of pink makeup today. My husband and I have been married for 2 years. Now, we did get married very, very young. By very young, I mean I was 18 and he was 19. When we started dating in high school, his dad was totally against the relationship. See, my husband was super popular. He played on the football team. All the girls chased him. He also played basketball and was perfect at everything he did. As you can imagine, was extremely strict with him. He was not even allowed to go out on weekends. Me, on the other hand, my parents are pretty much hippies. They let me do whatever I want. We're all very spiritual. My parents have full trust in me. Because of this, I make smart decisions. I actively seek my parents' advice. I even told my parents I lost my virginity when I did. And we had a big conversation about it. It was not dramatic. It was not like, oh, you shouldn't have done that. They just support me in everything I do. Now, my husband's parents are not the same. They tell him not to do a lot of things. They try to control him. So as we were dating in high school, his dad kept telling him to break up with me. He claimed that I was holding him back and that because of me, he spent less time training. Which technically, yes, is true. But at the same time, you cannot stop your son from experiencing human relationships. In fact, he actually broke up with me for 2 weeks. But then we got back together in secret. Everything culminated when he asked me to marry him right after graduation. His parents were absolutely against it. But my parents were all for it. You guessed it, go to part 2. My father-in-law wants my husband to break up with me. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. I was sending me on Instagram. This is a 3-part story time, and I'm doing a full face of pink makeup. When he asked me to marry him right out of high school, his parents absolutely freaked. They went to my parents' house and told me off for saying yes. In other words, they were completely blaming me for the whole thing, as if their own son didn't go buy a ring and ask me to marry him. Even did a beautiful proposal, which he had been planning for months. But at this point, his parents didn't even know that we were boyfriend and girlfriend. When they came to my house, his mom, my now mother-in-law, started crying and yelling at me. She told me that I was ruining their family, that I was trying to steal her son, and that all I really cared about was their money. By the way, my parents were middle class, but we were not destitute. His parents are very rich. They own several businesses. But of course, I'm not after their money. That's when they said that if we did end up getting married, I would have to sign a prenup. Duh, I said, yeah, I want to marry him because I'm in love. At this point, his parents knew they couldn't stop us. We were going to get married with or without their approval. But thankfully, his parents came around and let us get married. We had a quaint, small wedding. It was so magical. But his parents wanted him to go to college to play football. In other words, they wanted him to be the next Tom Brady. They made him train for hours, and they didn't even let us live together for the first year we were married. And because they were supporting him, he couldn't say no. They had us on a schedule. Could only see him for about 2 to 3 hours a day. And we were married. 2 years later, he's playing for a football team. But his parents keep thinking that I'm dragging him down. So now they're trying to convince him to leave me. Go to part 3. My father-in-law is trying to convince my husband to divorce me. Disclaimer, this is not my story time, and this is the final part of the 3-part story time. I'm doing a full face of pink makeup. After a year of us being married, his parents did not allow us to live together because he needed to focus on football. So obviously, I was living with my parents. I was focusing on my own studies, but his parents did allow us to see each other 2 to 3 hours a day. Now, you might think my husband is a total pushover, but let me explain something. His parents paid for all of his training and his entire college tuition. They gave him the best of everything. He got sports massages every single day. They even installed a cold plunge in their backyard. They also had a full gym setup where he and his teammates would go work out every single day. In their house. Obviously, he did not have time for little old me. After a year of this, I couldn't take anymore. I wanted to be with my husband. So I gave him an ultimatum. That he tell his parents that he and I wanted to live together. That's all I wanted. I was even willing to pay for half of the rent. And he told his parents, they said fine. And they bought us a house. Obviously under my husband's name, not mine. Fast forward another year up until now. I've heard his dad tell him on several occasions that he needs to divorce me. That he could find a much prettier wife once he becomes bigger in the NFL. And I walked in on his mom telling him that maybe I can't even have kids. And that he should have me checked. My parents-in-law hate me. I sometimes feel like I am holding him back. They make us miserable. My parents think I should just walk away from the marriage, but I'm too in love. Should I confront my parents-in-law? Help me think of what I should say to them.
Get ready with me to go out to the bar with my friends. Usually I'll go to the clubs that are like super busy, but tonight I'm kind of just looking for a chill night where I can just wear my jean shorts and my crop top instead of putting on a whole outfit. And also I really do not feel like having a million other people sweat all over me. I've had a lot of you guys ask me how I do my eyes, so I'm going to show you how I do like my smoky eyeliner wing. First thing that I do is I go in with Tattoo Studio by Maybelline and I do my waterline, and when I do it on the bottom, I stop like right to where my eye is right there. And then after that, I'm gonna go in with eyeliner and I'm just gonna do it very tightly against my lash line. And then after I do that, I'm gonna make a super small wing. Then I'm gonna go in with the tattoo liner again. I'm gonna make a you know, put a little bit right there. Go in with an angled brush like this, and I just start to pull this up. And then if I feel like it needs to be a little blended out, I'll go in with my beauty blender and I'll just kind of blend it upwards. So then it'll end up looking like this. I just did my mascara on this eye, and now we're gonna do it on this one. So we're gonna go in with the Lash Sensational Maybelline, and I just go and I make sure to close my eyes because I don't want to put it at the root. When you put it at the root, it weighs your lashes down. And I just got some PR from Makeup by Mario. These are their Moisture Glow Plumping Lip Serums, so I want to wear one of these tonight. We're gonna try Nude Glow first. Okay, but she's actually kind of cute. This one is Petal Glow. I need to hurry up. Let me know what you guys think down below. I mixed Nude Glow with Petal Glow, and I kind of like it. Story time about my strict grandma. So a little background information. In January 2023, I was really looking forward to having a sleepover at my friend's house. But my grandma quickly shut that shit down because she said that my friend was, quote, emo, according to the way my friend dressed. Like, girly, it's 2024. Anyways, I tried to argue with her and say that that doesn't mean that she's a bad influence. But my grandma, stuck in her ways, just wasn't having it. Instead, she said that I was going to be staying the weekend at my aunt's house with my brother and my cousin. So while I was at my aunt's house, I decided to sneak over to my friend Oliver's house. Get your head out of the gutter. It was nothing like that. We both agreed to be strictly friends. Anyway, so I hung out at his house with him and his brother Connor, and we were giving each other's Instagrams a makeover. Now keep this in mind for later. We ended up changing my username to the Beaner 2.0. Oh, and when I said I snuck over Oliver's house, I mean from my grandma. Like, my aunt knew about everything, but my grandma wasn't watching me, so I didn't care to tell her. Fast forward, the weekend's over, my grandma comes to pick us up, and later on that night, she brings up my Instagram username to me. Like for Part 2 about my super strict grandma. So like I said, my grandma brings up my username, the Beaner 2.0, to me later on that night. She started telling me that she was super concerned about the lack of self-respect I had for myself and how I need to start caring more about what other people thought about me. But honestly, I didn't care. I tried explaining that I didn't mind the term Beaner since I'm half Mexican and I've already faced racism before, so to me, it's just a word. After I explained that, I thought that her and I were good because she stopped arguing with me. And then she starts bringing up my Instagram posts. She's like, who are these boys that you were with? Whose house is this? Blah, blah, blah. Because I guess my aunt had told her that I went over a friend's house, but she didn't specify that it was a boy. So my grandma was fine with it. Anyway, so she had a field day with that shit, and the next day she decided to take my phone away because of the consequences of my actions, claiming that this situation was so serious that she had to get the police involved. This whole situation resulted in me being grounded forever, and we had to start attending family therapy sessions after this. Yeah. Storytime about how my whole class found my teacher's OF. So a little background information. I was 16 and in 10th grade, and my best friend Maya and I were walking in the hallway getting ready for first period. Now, even this early in the morning, the rumor was already going around that Miss J had an OF. Fast forward, Maya and I get to first period. 10 minutes after class started, Miss J put a problem up on the board. After she gave us a little bit of time, she was like, okay, who can solve this? And as she's about to call on someone, there was this guy, Jake, in my class, who was passing notes to this one girl, Jessica. And if you're wondering why they were passing notes, it's because we were not allowed to have phones in this class, of course. Anyway, so then Miss J is like, can you read that to the class, blah, 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 blah. And the note literally said, did you hear about Miss J's OF? She finished teaching the rest of our class, but we didn't see her for like 3 days after that. And I guess she wasn't fired because she had an OF. It was because there were students subscribed to it. And she knew about those students that were subscribed to it, and she didn't do anything about it. Storytime about the girl who was weirdly obsessed with my best friend. So a little background information. I was 14 and in 9th grade, and I went to a private school, so there was only one class per grade. So my best friend and I were in class together, and we're going to call her Bella. And then there was this girl, Gabby, who I'd kind of been friends with for almost a year. Well, Gabby was a whore for popularity. Like anything that the popular kids would ask her to do, she would get on her hands and knees and do it. This woman did not care. Well, we had a project working up, so all three of us decided to work on it together. So I invited them over my house, and Gabby said that she needed to use the bathroom. So Bella offered to show her where the bathroom was. Probably 3 minutes later, Bella comes running up the stairs like she just saw a ghost. She was telling me that Gabby took all of her clothes off and tried making out with her. Well, that night they both spent the night, and I wake up in the middle of the night to Gabby pinning Bella to the wall trying to kiss her. But I went back to sleep and acted like nothing ever happened. Fast forward, it got to the point where Bella was actually feeling really unsafe, so her parents switched her schools. Storytime about how my boyfriend and best friend were sneaking around behind my back. So a little background information. I was 15 and in 10th grade. So my mom and dad were split up and I was pretty much allowed to do whatever I wanted because of that. So I was dating this boy named Jacob. Well, my best friend Alice literally hated him. Like low-key, every once in a while, she would try to break him and I up. And when I would call her out on it, she would just deny it. Anyway, so the one day I didn't go to school because I was super sick. So the whole day I was trying to text Jacob and Allison, but nobody was answering me. Which was extremely weird because no matter what, Allison would always text me back. So after I knew the school ended, I went to Allison's house. Nobody was answering the door, so I used the spare key. I walk in and all I hear is a very loud banging coming from her bedroom. So I walk in, I see my boyfriend and her together, and then he starts saying that she drugged him. So I went on his phone, I see a bunch of old text messages between him and her, and them exchanging pictures. And then sis wants to start giving me an attitude, so I punched her in the face, and then I left and I don't talk to either of them. Story time about the toxic boy that I almost started dating. So a little background information. Him and I both met on a set of a movie that we were in. Well, a few days into filming, he asked me out. So of course I said yes. And it was literally the most amazing first date ever. So he asked for a second date and I said yes, of course. And the second date was terrible. He literally just tried to get in my pants the whole time. So then he asked me for a third date. And for some reason I said yes, hoping that it was not anything like the second date. And he didn't show up. So I pretty much got stood up. And then he even blocked my number. So a few months go by and I end up moving in with my best friend. About an hour away from where I was living when I met him. Well, the one night she came home and told me that he had messaged her on Instagram, which I thought was funny as hell because my best friend did not swing that way. So she pretends to flirt with him and asks him to come over. So he drives an hour to our apartment and when he walks in, he just sees me standing in the kitchen. He immediately walked out